I'm ready to start cooking again tonight, and I didn't give you any advanced warning, but it was because I've had a hectic day taking care of my son who's having some terrible asthma problems, trying to get him health care. And the time of the coronavirus wasn't an easy thing, but he's all taken care of now, so I was able to think about cooking. So I'm going to be making something really simple that I might make on any ordinary night, and someone had messaged me about how to make stir fry, so I already had that in mind. So it was really nice that that was what she wanted to learn to make as well. So that's what we're going to do today. And if you're wondering about the strange shirts you see me wearing, my shirt today is from the Sneaky Pickle restaurant in New Orleans. I love New Orleans, and that restaurant has fantastic plant-based food, and it has regular food too, but they had some of the most inventive and unique and creative salads and dressings and sauces on some of the visits I've made there. So of course I bought one of their t-shirts. Yesterday I was wearing plant-based dripping, which is from Gray. He's a kind of a rapper and a plant-based person that does a lot of shows at vegan fests and various things, and I've met him before. And the day before that I had on a shirt from Savannah, from the Fox and Fig Cafe, and it said plant food and coffee. So if you see me wearing strange shirts, they're from my favorite plant-based restaurants. So back to the recipe today. I've got my skillet heating up a little bit because we're going to get started very fast. So we're not using oil. So everyone says, well, what do you do when you're not using oil? You know, how could you cook? Well, just get your skillet. This is just a Calphalon 12-inch skillet. There's nothing that special about it. And I'm just going to start tossing some vegetables in it. And I wanted to show you the vegetables I had today. Sometimes you just have leftover vegetables sitting around. And I have some mushrooms. I did have a lot of mushrooms in the refrigerator, and I'm going to go ahead and toss those in because they take a while to soften. I just put them in the dry pan, and I'm just going to let them start cooking while I'm telling you about some of the other things. And it's probably 4 ounces of mushrooms. It's not a lot. Some recipes will say use a pound of mushrooms or 8 ounces of mushrooms, and I find that is too many for me. So this is probably 4 ounces, and these are cremini mushrooms, the baby portobello, and I like those. And I'm going to let those cook by themselves for a while, just in the dry pan. I'm going to watch it, and if I can tell that it's starting to get too hot, I'll reduce the heat a little bit, and I can always add a splash of liquid. So right by the stove, I always keep water, and this time this is filtered water. And then I usually have an open container of vegetable stock, vegetable broth in the refrigerator, and I use this on Monday. So this is still good. It's good for a week, so I have it already. So I just take the same things out. Again, if you like to make your own vegetable stock, you can always keep some of that. I usually have that in the freezer, so if I don't have any from the store, I don't have to go and get some. I can just get a little Ziploc bag of it out of the freezer. I'm also going to be putting some carrots in my stir fry because I have carrots, not because I went to buy carrots. I always have carrots. And I have this little handy Progressive brand mandolin. It has a julienne side and it has a slice side. And the julienne side is really handy for people who don't like to cut a lot of stuff, because you just put your vegetable up and down. I usually wear my cut-resistant glove so that I don't take any risks about slicing my fingers. That's from my friend Lisa Wright, who didn't heed the culinary school teacher's warning and had a little accident with a mandolin. I've always been freaked out about mandolins ever since then. So they sell a cut-resistant glove, which is really handy, so I have one of those. But so what that did is that made me have very quickly, just this whole pile of nicely julienne carrots. So, you know, I'm trying to save you all time because most people don't do a lot of cutting, so cutting is something that people avoid because it takes time. Now, for those of you who have been following my daily cooking sessions, and I'm stirring this around a little bit because I can tell it's starting to stick, but it's not turning too brown, so I'm not worried about it. This is my bell pepper from my green rice on Monday, and I just cut off a slab from the side of it then, so I'm just going to cut another slab or two off of it. And, you know, that's going to give me more than I need. I don't want my stir fry to have too many peppers, so I'm probably not going to use all the little pepper pieces, but that's going to give me some scraps of pepper, and I have lots of uses for that because I can make tofu scramble with these scraps and then have bell peppers and onions, and I have some other mushrooms that I didn't use in my stir fry. So you can take mushrooms, onions, bell peppers, you know, any kind of vegetable scraps, and you can use those in tofu scramble. So I'm just cutting the plank of bell peppers into strips so that I can just dice them into the little, kind of what you could call it a small dice. So I've got my little small diced bell peppers. That was very easy to do, and I'm just going to toss those in. So far I've got the carrots, the mushrooms, bell peppers. I haven't really added anything because another thing about not cooking with oil is vegetables have a lot of natural oil, or a lot of natural water, and so they're moist on their own. So, oh, someone said hi, Linda Nickel. Hi, Linda. Oh, Lisa Wright, use the guard. Yes, Lisa, remember, this was 10 years ago in culinary school, and we got to use the mandolin for the first time, and I think Lisa did something like this with her pinky. Scared me to death. Thanks for watching, Lisa. I see my daughter, Helen Spencer, is watching. Helen was the guinea pig for me in my very early days when she was a child. I hate to even think of the food that I made for that poor child. That was back in the days when meals consisted of macaroni and cheese and hot dogs and spaghetti, but she survived, and she's a very healthy eater, and she's a good cook. So sorry, Helen, for all the pain I caused you as a child. So I just chopped up the jalapeno pepper. I should have told you. I just kind of cut the slabs off the sides, and that way I didn't have to get all the seeds on my hand. And then I have my nice little pile of jalapeno peppers. And I have some scallions. I'll throw those in. So far I have not added any liquid, but everything is kind of starting to stick just a little. So at this point I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of stock, because if I don't do anything, then it could get kind of messy. It could start to burn. And so you'll see that by adding that little bit of stock, it's kept it from burning, and it's still cooking nicely. But the heat is kind of medium-high, so it doesn't have to be super high, but you don't want it to be too low. Fortunately, I have a gas stove, and the gas heat is easy to regulate, so I really like having the gas stove. It's really been fun. I'm trying to read your messages. What am I cooking? I'm making stir fry. So the stir fry, oh, bologna sandwiches. Oh, Helen, please don't tell on me. My daughter, I actually did buy that kind of food, but you know, I'm 65, and I won't tell you how old Helen is, but you know, we're talking about, she was born in the 70s. So back in the 70s, we ate hamburger helper, you know, all that kind of stuff, tuna helper, rice-a-roni, noodle-roni. I'm sure you guys can think of the horrible things that we fed our families back in those days that was just kind of normal. So anyway, I've got all my vegetables in here, not all of them, but a lot of them. And while those are cooking down a little bit, in a few minutes I'll be adding the broccoli, but I don't want to add the broccoli until toward the end, because the broccoli will go from being nicely cooked to overcooked in no time at all. So we want to kind of save that for the end. Now I'm going to make the sauce. And the secret to the plant-based stir fry is to have a good sauce. Because remember, we're not using oil, and oil is what flavors the sauces. In the old days when I used to, you know, make things with oil, peanut oil, sesame oil, whatever, that gave the food a lot of flavor. But without doing that in the whole food plant-based way of eating, which is, you could see that in Forks Over Knives, What the Health, lots of the different healthy videos, we don't use oil. Let me make sure I read these messages. What did you just add vegetable-wise? I added scallions. I'm sorry, that was 2 scallions. And the recipe for this dish will be on my Facebook page as soon as I get through with this live video. I'll put the recipe on. I've done that every night since Monday. So, you know, every time I do one of these afterwards, I sit down, either put the recipe on my website or I'll just write it on the Facebook page. So we need to have a good sauce. Now, my sauces vary a lot. I don't like to follow a lot of people's recipes, and so I'll put a lot of different ingredients in my sauce. So for example, I have a tray full of common sauce ingredients that I would put in my stir fry, but we're not going to use all of them today. And well, that wasn't too terrible, but remember when you watched Julia Child and the chicken fell on the floor? Well, that wasn't chicken. It could have been a bottle of coconut amino sauce, but it didn't fall on the floor, so we're good. Okay, so I have my little measuring cup. I'm gonna make my sauce. We can use water or vegetable stock, but I'll just use water since everybody has water around. This is filtered water. Could use my open stock. So I'm gonna have 1/4 of a cup of water. And then I use a lot of tahini, and I buy this on Amazon because it's very pourable. You don't have to get the jar out and you know, scoop it out of the jar, where sometimes it'll kind of be really separated or hard to scoop out and stick to the spoon and whatnot. It's just very liquid, so I really like that brand of tahini. It's called Mighty Sesame Company tahini. The only place I've been able to find it is on Amazon. I haven't been able to find it in a store. Of course, I like to use soy sauce, and those of you who've heard my videos or seen my videos the past couple days, I'm just kind of stirring my vegetables around to keep them moving. I grew up with my Japanese mother, and we put soy sauce on everything. I think one of the worst offenses of soy sauce was we put the soy sauce on grits. My father was Southern, and he thought that was the most disgusting thing he'd ever heard of, putting soy sauce on grits. I thought it was delicious. And I think all my kids, all 4 of them, are big soy sauce users too, so I'm sure they've put them on things that normal people don't use soy sauce on. Let's see, what brand tahini? Okay, I told you the brand of tahini. So then, and thanks Manny for saying I'm the best, I appreciate it. I'm gonna throw in some rice vinegar. Rice vinegar just gives it that little tang, a little bit of acidity. I'm gonna measure it. If you weren't watching me, I probably wouldn't measure it because I just kind of throw stuff together, but it's just a teaspoon. We'll throw in some red pepper flakes. I like things with a little flavor, spice. And then some sriracha. Now, my recipe says 2 tablespoons, but that's a little too much. I think that was not a very good recipe. This is the recipe I'm using is from my plant-based basics class. And I went back and looked at it, and I thought, yeah, I think I kind of put too much hot stuff in my stir fry sauce. So that's it. You know, that's all the ingredients. We could add more. We'll put some sesame seeds in there. Not too many. And so there we have the sesame, or the stir fry sauce. And right about this time is a good time to put it in because all the vegetables are done. And I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit. And you can see that my sauce is kind of this really nice, it's got a little bit of color to it, and the color is from the sriracha. That makes it kind of have that little color. And then the tahini actually makes it have a sesame taste like you might get with sesame oil, but we're not putting oil in it. Let's see, who else is watching? Oh, Helen, mashed potatoes and soy sauce. Yeah, I mentioned that yesterday. What brand tahini? Oh, I already got that one. Okay, so I'm putting my broccoli in. Now, I'm not using a lot of broccoli because this stir fry is only for 2 people. Oh, I forgot my garlic. Okay, here, if you forget an ingredient, this is minced garlic. I'm just gonna put it in because I'm gonna cook this broccoli for 3 minutes. And I know that that garlic will start to cook down. So I'm gonna put the lid on my pan because that will allow the broccoli to cook very quickly, and it will also allow the rest of the vegetables to finish cooking. I have one more ingredient. I'm going to add some tofu. Now this tofu is tofu that I had from Monday night. I made green rice and savory tofu roast. So I'm trying to use up food that I have on hand. I don't want to have to go to the store a lot because, you know, I'm trying to stay out of stores. So I'm going to use the tofu that I already had. I don't have a lot left. I gave a bunch of it to my son last night when he was over. But I'm going to use what I have and cut it into little pieces. If you had more, you know, you could put, you know, several ounces of tofu in it. And I'm going to open the pan real quick and throw that tofu in there. Now, my recipe for the savory tofu roast is on my Facebook page from Monday night. So if you were interested in looking for it, you could find it there. And then I just let this cook down. Like I said, it takes about 3 minutes for that broccoli to cook. I don't want to overcook it. I like the vegetables to be tender crisp. Now, you can make this as a fried rice. So we could take rice and we could put it in the pan now. We could take brown rice. I always have Trader Joe's brown rice I keep on hand in the freezer. Or I could use rice as a side dish. So that's what I've done for today. And I've cooked this brand of rice. It's funny because, I'm going to turn this down, my friend in California said there's a shortage of Japanese rice in California. And he had trouble finding it, but he did get 2 15-pound bags. Well, Japanese people always have lots of rice around. This is a 15-pound bag, and I have to tell you, I have 2 more of these size bags in my pantry from doing cooking events with the Japanese Society. But this Tamanashiki rice is really delicious. I had never used it before until recently, and I bought it at one of the Asian markets, and it's really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some rice from my rice cooker. Then I'm not going to do anything to cook the rice. I'm just going to kind of lay it on the side of my plate. And you see this, my stir fry is done. The broccoli is nice. The sauce is cooked down some. I can tell you already that broccoli is perfect. It's still bright green. It's not mushy. It's not going to be raw tasting. And then all the other vegetables have cooked down, including the mushrooms, the onions, the carrots. And then I'm just going to pile them on my plate. Like I said, this is 2 servings. 1 serving for me and 1 serving for my husband. And that's it. Now, you know, if you wanted to put sauce on your rice, you could, but the stir fry is pretty saucy, so it should be fine just like that. Now, we could even put some more things on here. We could take some roasted almonds. I always have these roasted almonds for my oatmeal. So we could put roasted almonds on top, give it a little crunch. I have cilantro. If you like cilantro, Asian food and cilantro goes together well, we could throw some fresh cilantro on top. I kind of like the taste of that. I like things spicy, so I would probably douse a little sriracha on it. And then if no Japanese people were looking, I'd probably put soy sauce on my rice. And that was another thing that I was always taught, don't put soy sauce on your rice. You're supposed to eat the rice plain, but I kind of don't follow that rule, and neither do any of my kids or grandkids. Okay, so that's it. And if anyone had any questions, Lisa needs a bag of rice. Phil called me, and hi Phil. Happy that you're watching. Hope you try some plant-based dishes. So thank you all for watching my cooking demo. I'm going to try to do these every day that I can. Basically all I'm doing is I'm cooking the food that I'm eating for my dinner, and I'm cooking it with you so you can see how to cook quick and easy plant-based dishes. I know that you know, we haven't been able to go out much, go out to eat or do some of the things we're used to doing, so I thought this would be a fun way to share the way that I like to eat, the whole food plant-based way. It is delicious. It's a great time to get healthy. I'm trying to work out. My personal trainer is doing my training sessions through FaceTime. So I've got a little home gym set up, so I'm trying to work on that, trying to walk on the treadmill, and just, you know, eat some healthy food. So I hope you guys enjoy this dish if you make it. And if you have questions or comments, please be sure and put them on this video. I will post the video to Facebook so it's on there and you could watch it later if you missed it. And then I've had people make requests for things they want me to make on these videos. Someone asked me to make popcorn tofu, so I'm going to be working on that. Someone else wanted me to make the hippie banana bread that I made for her when she came for a class, so I'll probably do that soon. So if you have a request of anything that you would like to see made plant-based with no oil, no eggs, no dairy, healthy, then just send me a message, and I promise I'll take a look at it and try to make it. That's all for today, and if you make this dish, I hope you enjoy it, and I guarantee you that I'm gonna eat this whole plate of food in a little while, and I'm gonna have a great dinner. Thank you all. Bye.